Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Barrel. Round zero is not far away at all. Got a couple of days until the footy kicks off, and we cannot be more excited, although it does seem less hyped than last year when it was just normal round one. I don't know about everyone else. But
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
it's a bit hard when half of the people's teams aren't actually playing in the first week.
exactly,
It sort of
exactly.
diminishes the excitement a little bit.
But nonetheless, footy is back. So we are going to do some season predictions. And in this video, we'll be doing our ladder prediction. So I'll go first, and then Jimmy will do his, and we'll discuss any differences that we have. So
All
let's
right.
get it kicked off.
Who do you have on the bottom of the ladder in 2024? The wooden spooners, Kai. Who do you have?
I don't think this should be a surprise to anyone, but it is the West Coast Eagles.
Oh,
They're younger than they were last year. A lot of players retired last year, a lot of veteran superstars that carried them to that 2018 flag. So they've gotten a lot younger. And based on their preseason games, I really can't see them getting any better. I see them getting a bit worse than last year, to be honest, if that's even possible. Before
they did
they,
have a lot of injuries last season. So if they
yeah,
got
they
a
have.
couple of players playing a little bit more often, you never know.
It's the exact same story this year as well. They got a plethora of injuries already, and it's just looking like another grim season in the West. I don't know what it is there, but Matt Flynn came over from GWS. Someone I'm not sure of his injury history at GWS, but suddenly he comes to West Coast and does a hamstring tendon. And that's half the season gone for him. So they have no luck whatsoever, and I see them finishing 18th by a long stretch. So 17th. This might disappoint you, Jim, but I've got the Hawthorn Footy Club. Obviously,
17th.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I,
tell
I
me
would, I
why.
wouldn't, I wouldn't be surprised to be proven wrong, but they had a lot of injuries in their preseason games. They lost James Blank, CJ. Who else? Chol had a bit of a scare, but he's all right. Um, so yeah, some other players. Will Day won't be playing until about round four. So they are going to have a rough start to this season. And I think they're in similar to the West Coast, they are very, very, very young. And although they'll provide some exciting moments for supporters, I'm sure this year, I can't see them getting more wins than they did last year. So I'm happy to be proven wrong. I think they might surprise me. However, I can't see them finishing higher than the other teams that I have in my bottom four. So 16th, I've got North Melbourne. I was actually pleasantly surprised. Their game against Collingwood, they played quite well actually, um, and I think they'll climb up the ladder. Obviously, not too much from 17th to I think 16th, but I think
Obviously,
they'll.
I don't want to give too much away from mine, but you have to remember that they have lost some experience themselves in Zeeble
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Cunnington. So that that's some serious experience. Goldstone as well has gone to the Bombers, but yeah, there's some definitely exciting stones for North Melbourne, and
I don't
hence
I
why
don't
you've
think
moving up
I
the
don't
ladder a little bit.
I don't think those three were all too important to them in their
A lot of
teams.
games experience though.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But
Late in
not.
quarters, it can make a difference.
I don't think they were in the situation to need that experience late in quarters much last year.
Yeah, well,
But
maybe they will do this year.
I expect them to. I expect them to put up a bit more of a fight against teams this year, and I expect them to finish 16th. And I think they'll surprise quite a few with their improvement. And yeah, got plenty of young stars, a lot of good young players, and it'll be very exciting to see how they go. And yeah, finally, to round out my bottom four, as much as this hurts to say, I've got the
Oh,
Richmond Footy Club.
you haven't, have you?
Yeah,
15. Tell me why. Ever the pessimist?
I I would love to be proven wrong, but it's looking like the same old story for the Tigers after the dynasty. Somehow still have McIntosh and Pickett on the wings. They're just not doing the job. The team looks slow. I am excited by Adam Uze's new game plan, but I just don't see it vastly improving the team. I think their best is still just possibly missing the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, but I don't see them sustaining that for a long period of time. We did see it in spurts last year, but it was for a 2-game stretch and then back to the gutter. So, especially with the retirements of Cochin and Rewalt, I really don't see the Tigers, unfortunately, climbing back up the ladder. However, if we do give some youth experience this year, I wouldn't be expecting to see their stay at the bottom 4 be longer than a couple of years. So the Tigers at 15th.
Yeah, you're going to move on to 14th now, or am I going to do my bottom 4? How are we going to do this?
I'll do my whole one, and then you can do your whole one.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Who's 14th?
14th, Fremantle.
Yep.
Good. Yeah, I think Fremantle will finish a lot higher than 14th, but based on what we saw last year, I'm not prepared to put them ahead of the teams that I placed above them.
It's
just
very
yet.
hard because, basically everyone from 15th and above, you reckon, could potentially play finals. So it's very hard. It was always going to be the teams you put 15th, 14th. You're going to feel like they're probably going to finish a bit, or should finish higher than that based on their team.
The bottom 4 is very clear, but the others are a bit of a haze. So Fremantle 14th. They got plenty of good young players. Brayshaw, Sarong. They got good young forwards coming up. Amiss, whatever. And Sam Sturt's another one. Got, Luke Jackson, who's coming a superstar. Sean Darcy. You got Luke Ryan in the back line. Plenty of class all around, so I expect them to improve on their positioning last year. However, I'm just being conservative as of now, based on what they dished up last year, which was not good for their standards at all. So 14th, the Dockers. 13th, it's going to trigger a lot of our viewership based on our views, but Essendon.
Really?
I just think they did too much with their list in order to have immediate benefits. Now they picked up Gresham, Goldstein, Mackay, Dersma, but I just think that they have changed the recipe a bit too much. And although they did make list improvements and their young stars will be coming up, I think their quality of young players isn't quite the best. And yeah, I really don't see them finishing in that upper half of just missing the 8th, so 9th to 12th. So I see them just at 13th. Unfortunately for the Bombers fans, their top line quality is as good in their midfield pretty much as any. You got Merritt, Parrish, Setterfield, Shield when he's fit. So they're pretty good there. However, the back line and forward line are lacking significantly. So 13th for the Bombers. 12th, I've got Gold Coast. A lot of people have them in the 8. I just don't think it's going to happen. They got Dimmer, but a coach doesn't change everything, as we've seen with North Melbourne recruiting Alistair Clarkson. Their list is fantastic. They got talent everywhere, great young players. They did great in the draft. But yeah, 12th, I think, is right for them. I don't really have much to say. I think they're not proven yet. And you don't go from not proven straight to finals. I don't think you have to show a bit in the years prior. So that's what I think they'll do this year before they finally solidify themselves in the 8. 11th, Geelong. Oh, they could. I wouldn't be surprised if they snuck their way into the 8. However, their guns are diminishing. Hawkins, this will probably be his last year. Jeremy Cameron had a bit of a down year compared to his previous. Dangerfield getting old. They do have some promising young players. Max Holmes absolutely tore up the preseason games. You got Jai Clark coming in. But yeah, as much as we hate riding off the Cats and they continually prove everyone wrong, I see them as a 11th place team this year. 10th, this hurts me to say because of how talented their list is, but the Western Bulldogs, they should be finishing in the top 8, but with the teams I have in my top 8, I don't see them as better than those teams realistically, although they should be. They've got English, Bont, Libba, Treloar, McRae, Norden, Ugelhagen. The list goes on. But stars absolutely everywhere. But I don't know what it is with them. They just can't seem to cohesively play at a good standard for a long period of time on field. As I said in the Dogs preview video, they usually just scrape into the 8 and somehow make the grand final, or just don't make the 8 at all. So it's one of those two scenarios, and I see them missing the 8 this year. And finally, in the dreaded 9th position, St Kilda. They made the finals last year, obviously, and I see them possibly getting a tiny bit better, but with how good the competition will be above them, I don't see them just scraping into the 8 yet again. I think they got plenty of class everywhere. Callum Wilkie, Sinclair, Steele, Crouch, Marshall. But I think that ultimately they're a very consistent team, but I just don't think that their superstar power is good enough to play finals, unfortunately for them. But I do think that they'll threaten a finals push and cause a lot of teams problems this year, especially with the development of their young players. Mitch Owens, Philippou, Jack Higgins is very solid. Wangani Malera. I've missed a lot, but they got some good young stars. Darcy Wilson impressed a lot in their preseason games, so they got plenty of avenues forward, and unfortunately just see them missing the 8. So let's get into the all-important top 8. Just scraping in, I have Port Adelaide. Obviously very disappointing in the finals last year, as they always are. However, I see them just scraping in. I do have them declining a little bit with how much their list has changed. Zerk, Thatcher, Radigalia, Soldo, Sweet. I think it'll take a bit to balance that. However, Butters, Rosie, everyone else is still top notch, and I see them playing similar footy as they did last year, maybe not being just as good. 7th, Sydney. A lot of people have Sydney in their top 4. They obviously also got a lot of players in, but I think the main barrier to the Swans finishing much higher is their forward line. Obviously, Buddy is gone, so they need to rely a lot more on Logan McDonald and Joel Amati. Papley will always be a goal sneak. You got Heaney up there, but I think their main barrier to a better finish is their scoreboard attack. So we'll see how that goes this year. 6th, the D's. They've had a lot of problems in the offseason, as we all know. Joel Smith, cocaine, Clayton Oliver, Simon Goodwin, rumors everywhere. It's a disaster off field for the D's. They're just in a shambles. So I see them sliding down the ladder. I think everything off field eventually translates onto the on field. So I see them sliding, although they do have still a very strong list. 5th, I think the team that will surprise everyone the most this year, Adelaide. I rate them so highly. Their young list is fantastic, as good as any. Dawson, Laird, still, two of the most solid midfielders in the comp still. Rankin will absolutely explode this year. Rochelle. The sky's the limit for the Crows. I'm so excited to watch them play. I love watching them play at the Adelaide Oval especially, so I'm very excited to see how they go, and I have them finishing 5th. And now let's get into our top 4. I'm not too convinced with my 4th place finish. It could easily be Adelaide, but just for safety, I'm putting Carlton. I see them easily as the weakest team in this top 4. I'm not convinced by them at all, partly because of my hatred for them, but a prelim final doesn't lie. So they must be decent. I expect them to get to a similar position this year. So that's why I have them in the top 4. And I think that the confidence they got from that prelim finals berth will translate into the regular season. So they'll start winning a few more games there, along with the development of their young players, as always. 3rd, and this is a team, on the other hand, that I'm most excited about, and I see them as probably the strongest team in the top 4. GWS.
Yeah.
That'll be very controversial, but I'm so in on the Giants. It is not funny. We were all on the orange. What was it? Orange tsunami. Orange tsunami last year. It was a fun ride. They played some fantastic footy. If they
I
played
thought
that,
they were going to go all the way. I thought the
looking
Orange
so
was
good.
going all the way.
It was looking
Halfway through
so
that
good.
third quarter in the prelim, it was on. Oh dear.
Oh boy. So yeah, if everything goes their way, they are by far the best team in the AFL, and it's not even close with how they play sometimes. Obviously, they didn't sustain that through long periods of time, although were very competitive for a large period of time. Second, the reigning premiers, Collingwood. This shouldn't be a surprise to any. They could easily finish first, but I just think that obviously we can see who I have finishing first. It'll be Brisbane. So those two are very hard to split. However, I just have Brisbane on top. I think the heartache of losing the grand final last year will fuel their belly fire. That's a saying. Fuel the fire in their belly. That's the one. And propel them to the top of the ladder. And obviously, the Gabba is their fortress. So they'll be winning pretty much every game they play there. Collingwood also don't travel away, or they travel once from the MCG after their bye. So they'll probably win the majority of the games there. However, I have Brisbane just ahead. Obviously, that doesn't translate to the finals at all. It's very rare that the first place wins the flag.
Has happened the last 3 seasons though.
Yeah, but before that, it
Interesting to
was
see.
very, very rare.
Yeah. I think 2021 might have been the first time for 8 seasons, and then the last 2 years.
So that is my ladder. We'll make a separate video with Jim's ladder. Check that out. The link will be in the description. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.